MAGA shutdown day 3. America held hostage by Donald Trump. Even the Liberty Bell is closed for business. Welcome to the Jim Acosta Show, and that's right, it is day 3 of the MAGA shutdown. It's also Fuck It Friday. We are bringing back from the dead or near dead another edition of Fuck It Friday. And of course, no Fuck It Friday would be complete without my buddy Mike Fanone. And are we at the point now where we don't really feel uncomfortable saying fuck? We just say it now. Is that right?
I mean, I've spent the better part of the last 4 years of TV appearances trying to normalize foul language on cable news, legacy media. I think it eventually got me canned. But, here we are in independent media where there are no rules.
Well, we get shit canned one way or another these days, Mike. It is day 3 of the MAGA shutdown, and it doesn't look good, Mike. Hope this is the AP saying hopes for a quick end to the government shutdown faded Friday. Republicans, Democrats dug in for a prolonged fight. Trump is playing games, of course. He's putting out memes. I mean, a normal president, you and I grew up with like TV shows like The West Wing and stuff like that. A normal president would be trying to get something done. His team would be working with congressional leaders. They would have a bunch of meetings. There's none of that. And by the way, we haven't even seen Trump out in front of the press for the 3rd day in a row, which, Mike, I think that tells you everything that you need to know in terms of what they're seeing from the polling. The polling shows this is a giant shit sandwich for him. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, no, I saw Harry, is it Eaton?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the most annoying pollster on the planet.
He's okay.
Came out with his voice just it bothers me.
It's fucking Friday. You can say what you want.
Yeah, well, I will. It annoys the shit out of me. But the polls are not looking good for the Republican Party. The vast majority of Americans, regardless of your political affiliation, recognize the fact that this is a Republican manufactured government shutdown.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact, they control all 3 branches of government. But I think the most telling aspect of it was, when Donald Trump himself sat down with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and he tells Chuck Schumer that whatever we have to do, we're going to get our way, whether it's through the military or something else, or through a government shutdown. What does that even mean?
Yeah, that's not negotiating.
Other than the fact that he refuses to negotiate. And I mean, listen, Democrats have a responsibility to negotiate on behalf of their constituents, especially today, since this president seems to dismiss the 50% of the country that didn't vote for him. Somebody's got to represent those individuals. It's the first time in history that a president has literally declared, I am not a president for those that did not or do not support me. I think back to the Biden administration, where all the MAGA folks were like, hey, he's not my president. Well, you can literally say Donald Trump is not your president if you don't support him, because he doesn't want to be your president.
Yeah. No, he's not interested in being a president for anybody who is a Democrat or once voted for a Democrat or, isn't, I guess, wearing a bright red MAGA hat. And, he is going after blue states. They're announcing they're going to take transportation money away from New York. They're trying to rattle the cages of, Democratic politicians across the country. And then he's also putting out these stupid memes. He's like a kid on TikTok with these stupid, let's play the latest one where I don't know, maybe he's going to get sued by Blue Oyster Cult, but he ripped off the Grim Reaper, Don't Fear the Reaper, and dressed up the Grim Reaper with, what's his name? Russ Vought, the guy who's in charge of Office of Management and Budget. We'll show a little bit of that. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about it. It's a good song. I think that's probably enough. I mean,
Yeah, I gotta
yeah,
say, the first time I saw that,
yeah.
all I could think about was like the SNL skit with
Will Ferrell,
more
the
cowbell
cowbell.
with Will Ferrell. Internet, do your thing. Superimpose Donald Trump's head onto Will Ferrell's body, and that should be the next meme.
The Democrats could fire that one back
Yeah,
because Will Ferrell's got the gut hanging out of the shirt and he's hitting the cowbell with Christopher Walken.
yeah. Christopher
He's like, I
Walken.
got a fever.
I got a
And the
fever.
only cure is more cowbell. That one, right? I've watched way too much SNL over the years.
Yeah. I don't.
It's a fucking game to him.
Yeah, it's stupid, and that, to your point before, like, I don't even think Donald Trump necessarily wants to, like, he doesn't want to do the things that the president has to do. Like, he doesn't want to be president. He just wants to be on television.
Yeah.
He wants to, say provocative things, do provocative things, fool around on the internet, and go golfing and sell his bullshit wares. Whether it's Bitcoin or his Trump 2028 hats. I just, I'm not a huge fan of Chuck Schumer, and I'm definitely not a fan of Hakeem Jeffries, but I can't even imagine as like two, relatively serious men who've spent, quite a considerable amount of their lives in public service to go into the Oval Office and see Donald Trump. And then during this meeting where they're trying to negotiate their way out of a government shutdown, two Trump 2028 hats mysteriously appear on the table. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
There's something seriously the fuck wrong with him, and it's all a game. He just wants to troll.
Yeah,
I guess he's been a troll his whole life, but social media landed in all of our laps right when he became a political contender, and now he uses this technology to sort of pollute our daily lives with whatever nonsense is rolling around in his head. And there are enough trollish people like him who will give him all the memes that his heart desires. I mean, to me, it just, and that thing with the Mexican hats on Hakeem Jeffries and so on, it's just so childish. And I think it's part of the reason why the polls are where the polls are. The American people are looking at this and saying, he's not serious. He's not trying to solve this. And maybe on day 3 of the shutdown, there's not a lot of pain involved yet. Not all of the museums have closed down and so on, but that's coming. There's negative stuff coming. And I kind of wonder if, like, this weekend, he hasn't been out in front of the camera. So I wonder if this weekend they're going to try to figure out a way to get him out of this, because I get the sense that they think this is bad, like really bad for them.
Yeah. I mean, you saw, that clip that went viral where Madeline Dean was talking to
Mike Johnson.
And I guess he didn't realize that he was on a hot mic, but she says, like, guys, he's unhinged. And he acknowledges it, and then does the, all too familiar, well, there's people that are unhinged on your side of the aisle too. He's the president of the goddamn United States of America. You're acknowledging as a Speaker of the House that he's not well.
That's right. That's what that video said to me. No question.
And and the other thing too, because I know that, like, the MAGA trolls, they'll say, well, oh, you can't take a joke. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke. Well, I can take a joke, and there's lots of times that I think it's appropriate to poke fun, at your opponents. That being said, like, we're talking about millions of people's livelihoods, and you're playing a game with millions of people's livelihoods. Although, even Trump tried to spin that in saying that, well, hey, don't worry, I'm only going to fire people that are Democrats. And I'm only going to cut programs that are, traditionally left-leaning programs. Although I don't know, like things like SNAP, WIC, Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, these are all things that benefit Americans across,
A lot of Trump supporters.
Yeah,
A lot of Trump supporters. I will tell you, having been to a lot of Trump rallies, a lot of those folks are on Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, you name it. No question about it. There's no question about it. So when they're talking about going after Democrat programs, they're talking about hurting their own people. And you know, they're stupid if they don't see that. They're just unbelievably stupid if they don't, and they are. But to not see that is almost, it's political malpractice. And for folks who are like, oh, he doesn't care, blah blah blah, they care to the extent that when the polls come in and it shows him, you know, up a creek without a paddle, he's deathly afraid of 2026. He is so afraid of what's going to happen during these midterms. That's why he's trying to redraw all these congressional maps. And if the courts don't let him do that, and he's just this wildly unpopular, unhinged, unwell person, the voters are going to go apeshit on him.
The Republicans are even starting to, I've seen some ads popping up here and there where they're actually starting to run ads saying like, hey, listen, if you don't support Republican candidates going into the midterms, the Democrats are going to invoke the 25th Amendment and they're going to try to impeach or remove Donald Trump. Like we need to, we need to keep a majority in the House and the Senate. Otherwise we're going to lose the presidency. Yeah. I think that I'm sure he's worried to an extent. I think he feels so emboldened by the Supreme Court's, granting him, immunity, or at least in his mind, what he believes. And I mean, who knows? I mean, if it was ever challenged under his administration, I feel pretty confident in saying that this Supreme Court would come to his rescue, regardless of, how outrageous his actions may have been and outside the scope of the office of the presidency.
No, I think that's right. I mean, but just to show you, like, some of the nervousness that's going on inside the Republican Party right now about this shutdown. Josh Hawley, you remember Josh Hawley, Mike, Mr. Fist at the Capitol on January 6th.
Yes.
He says he's warmed up to the idea that Democrats are pushing to get out of the shutdown. Democrats are saying, well, if we extend these Obamacare tax credits, which basically help people who are working class Americans afford Obamacare, he said today, we've got to do something to make sure the premiums don't essentially double, which they will in my state. We can't allow that to happen. So Josh Hawley is admitting what the Democrats are saying, which is that everybody's healthcare costs, or a lot of people's healthcare costs, especially under Obamacare, are going to go up big time if there isn't a fix that's done between now and when those increases take effect. And so if Josh Hawley is sounding like a Democrat on this particular issue, they know inside the Republican Party that they're kind of, not to get too wonky, but they understand that they're kind of fucked on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, some Republican representatives are starting to recognize the fact that, their constituents are going to be adversely affected. I mean, tremendously impacted in a negative way, by the big, beautiful bill, and then by this, these Republican cuts to things like Medicare, Medicaid.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the other thing, Mike, that I wanted to talk to you about is they're talking about putting the National Guard in Portland this weekend. We're seeing ICE agents going around Chicago wearing masks and stuff like that. I know you and I have talked about this before, but coming from a law enforcement background, I guess part of it is that they're just getting us normalized. They're getting us used and accustomed to seeing this shit in our communities. And I love the people of the National Guard. Don't get me wrong, but I see them going around my neighborhood in DC, and my neighborhood in DC does not need the National Guard. It just doesn't. Like, it's just that's not where I would deploy them. But what are your thoughts? I mean, they want to put them in Portland.
Yeah, I mean, up until now, it's been purely performative. All part of the Trump theatrical show, purporting to be, for law and order. But we have now the benefit of 45, 50 days of National Guard troops deployed to Washington, D.C., and we've seen the way that they've been utilized. And it's not to downplay the significance of this type of a deployment. And I do agree. I think that, in part, it's to normalize the presence of military troops in American streets. Yeah. And, my real concerns come from, what may come, as we get closer to the midterm elections. But as far as what we've seen, for the viewers on here that are not in Washington, D.C. or not familiar, so far they've been doing one of two things. They've been paid to sightsee in Washington, D.C. All I've seen is troops in full combat uniform with AR-15s slung over their shoulders, walking around the National Mall, taking in the World War II Memorial and the Washington Monument, et cetera. The other thing that they've been tasked with is gardening. They've been picking up trash. They've been doing, mowing lawns, and all of this to the tune of $1 million plus a day. Not to mention the fact that you're, impacting these individual Americans' lives. You're uprooting them from their homes. You're forcing them to travel to Washington, D.C., sleep in a barracks, be away from their families and their normal, regular jobs.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Now they're not getting paid.
Now they're not getting paid.
Government shutdown. So when Trump says that it's for public safety, that they are reducing crime, I mean, listen, one, they're only deploying these troops to areas that I would describe as someone who policed Washington, D.C. for 20 years as low crime areas. The National Mall, Union Station are not areas in which crime is running rampant. And so if there was crime there, sure, they're displacing it for the time that they are deployed in that area. I mean, criminals are not that dumb. They're not going to commit crimes when there are uniformed, personnel in their vicinity, even though these National Guard troops have absolutely no law enforcement capabilities. They can't make arrests. They have pretty much the same capabilities as any other citizen. They can pick up the phone and call 911 and request law enforcement. Now I do worry. Of course, we've talked about this many times about like a Kent State moment. You get some 18-year-old, 19-year-old Guard member who's on his first, big city deployment, and now he's got a gun. He may see a crime and, forget the fact that he can't, is not legally allowed to act. Now, remember, these guys have had absolutely no law enforcement training, none, zippo, zero, and then decides to intervene with his AR-15 or his sidearm, and now we have this catastrophic incident in which, a untrained agent of the government tries to intervene and ends up shooting and killing someone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, when you say they're not trained for law enforcement, I mean, Donald Trump said the other day at Quantico, talking to the nation's generals who flew in from all around the world to listen to his crazy talk, his weave. Well, we're going to use American cities as training grounds for this. I mean, you and I have been around the block a time or two. I mean, it's just unreal, crazy talk. I mean, it's like what the Congresswoman Madeleine Dean was saying, unhinged, unwell. To suggest that you're going to do this on a widespread basis in a lot of American cities. I mean, that's something I think a lot of Americans should think about this weekend. Like, what the fuck is going on with this president? Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in all seriousness, that was, for me, that was like, hopefully this starts normalizing the 25th Amendment talk. The idea that we now have a president of the United States that has suggested that it is, would be appropriate to use American cities as training ground for the American military. And I feel pretty confident that regardless of, those generals and flag officers of the United States military's political persuasions, that they would out and out reject the notion, that would happen. But I don't think that meeting was meant for the individuals that were in the room. I think that the meeting was meant for rank and file military personnel, and I think it was meant for future ranks, future enlistees who may be coming into the military. That, hey, listen, this is a whole new, this is a whole new military. I mean, the Pete Hegseth thing. I mean, I almost feel sorry for the guy. He clearly has imposter syndrome. He tries so desperately to gain the respect and admiration of people that clearly outclassed him. And
there's something pathetic about it. Yeah, I mean,
pathetic.
It's like he's crying on the inside. Yeah,
I would imagine that immediately after that, the lack of applause, that he went somewhere and experienced the business end of a bottle for a sustained period of time.
Yeah, or just sobbing uncontrollably in a Don's job or something like that.
Yes,
to himself.
But
the last case of emotion. There's another Will Ferrell thing, but anyway.
I mean, there's a lot of parallels to that and what we saw in Memphis. I mean, you saw the Pam Bondi's down there with
Stephen Miller
in addressing these police officers from Memphis, Tennessee, and I was on MSNBC last night talking about my reaction to that. And again, I think it was a made for TV moment. I mean, as a police officer, I know that first of all, I don't think I've never spoken to a police officer, even the diehard MAGA folks, that have any respect for Stephen Miller. And I called him last night. I said he's an unhinged nerd. And I stand by that. But what concerns me is not that, these police officers hear his, propaganda speech, and then tomorrow they go out and just start beating the hell out of people. No, I mean, their training, their departmental policies and protocols are so ingrained in them that, it's just going to be business as usual for the most part. That being said, I have a great deal of concern for what the future of law enforcement looks like and the type of people that this administration is going to attract into that profession's ranks, and what's going to happen going forward. I mean, you already see ICE, and I'm always clear to say, Jim, when I talk about law enforcement, there's law enforcement agencies, and then there's ICE. ICE has just become this whole other animal. That's
the secret police.
It's Donald Trump's national police force. And it's unaccountable to the American people. You've seen countless attempts by members of Congress to gain access into their facilities, as they are legally obligated to do. And they're not. They're not allowed access. Some have been, we saw the representative that was pushed to the ground for simply trying to attend a press conference and, God forbid, ask a question.
We talked to a congressional candidate the other day. She was tossed to the ground by ICE outside a facility in Chicago, just picked up and thrown on her ass. Unbelievable. Just sick behavior.
And again, no accountability for that agency. I mean, I've talked to law enforcement agencies across the country, friends of mine, and on the West Coast and the Midwest and different places that ICE has been deployed. And I asked them, like, hey, does ICE cooperate with you when citizens come and file complaints against their agents? And they said, absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, and I think we should get back to this 25th Amendment thing, because honestly, people need to understand, we can say 25th Amendment and everything. It's in the Constitution. The cabinet has to agree to this. Members of the cabinet have to agree to this. The cabinet is stocked with dear leader types who put Trump above country. And I don't think there should be any expectation at all that they're going to come to anybody's rescue, unless he really starts to like eat the furniture inside the Oval Office or something and just completely has a breakdown. I just don't see them doing it at this point. Not for autocratic, authoritarian, dictator-like behavior, which is a different kind of batshit behavior. But I just don't see them. I don't see them coming to the rescue. Just don't see it.
No, absolutely no chance that. I've seen some moments specifically with Kash Patel, where he clearly recognizes that. I mean, he's doing his best, I think, to tread water in that position. I mean, he's way in over his head. I mean, this is a podcaster and a conspiracy theorist who is now heading the premier law enforcement agency in the United States of America, and has been embarrassed almost as many times as Pete Hegseth has been, as the Secretary of Defense, or now the Secretary of War.
Well, legally it's not. They call him that, but apparently it has to be changed by Congress. So it's like, you and I could call Mike, you're my Secretary of War on this podcast. In addition to hosting your own podcast, which is a fine podcast on Substack and YouTube and everywhere else, you are my Secretary of War. I don't know if we can put the Chiron up. Michael Fanone, podcast Secretary of War.
Yeah, and that body of water, the reflecting pool is now the reflecting pool of Michael Fanone.
And instead of water coming out, it's beer.
I'm surprised that Trump hasn't just renamed. That would be great, actually. I'm surprised that Trump hasn't renamed all the monuments to just be him. Don't even worry about rebuilding monuments. Just have somebody chisel the face into a Trump head, and the Lincoln Memorial is now the Trump Memorial, and Jefferson, and the Washington Monument, we know that's inaccurate. You'd have to
it'd have to be
reduce it by size, like
95%.
Right.
Yeah, that's Washington may have been able to boast that, but I'm not sure. What do you? I don't know, George. What do you think? Ask Martha. I don't know. I'm sorry, folks.
It's fucking Friday.
It's fucking Friday. Fuck it. But there is a new statue to Donald Trump. I don't know if you saw this on the National Mall, but there is a statue to Donald Trump, and it's him and Jeffrey Epstein. I want to alert the viewers that it was taken down last week. The Trump Jeffrey Epstein statue was taken down. It was reinstalled, and it's now sitting on the National Mall. And I went down there and took a visit to go take a look at it. And we're going to show that to you at the end of the program here in just a few minutes. But Mike, my friend, great to see you as always.
Thank you, sir.
The Secretary of War for the Jim Acosta Show, Michael Fanone, kicks ass, takes names, fills a reflecting pool with beer, all those good things. Thanks, Mike, man. Good to see you.
All right. I'll see you. Have a good weekend, buddy.
All right. You too. You too. Yeah. Mike, we ought to take Mike down to the National Mall and show him this new statue that has been, I don't even want to use that word, erected to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, we're going to show that in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, it would not be a fucking Friday without my next guest, the one and only. There he is, Matt Friend.
It's fucking Friday, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing good, my man. How are you? Where are you?
Oh my God. Say it again.
Where are you right now?
I'm in New York. I was actually just writing out my full hour of stand-up, so we're transcribing it all, and we're getting closer to me taping it as a special, probably early next year. So I was just in Boston, had a big show, biggest crowd I've ever had. It was like over 1,000 people, so biggest headlining show at the Wilbur. It was a big show. It was the biggest crowd size anybody's ever seen, Jim. It was great. But it's crazy. Like, thanks for having me on the show, by the way. Now that the challenge is I do these shows, and there's a lot of different types of people, Americans, non-Americans, that come to my show. So I'm finding this balance of how do you make the country laugh, because we're in such partisan times, and obviously it's so relevant now culturally with late night TV and this question of like, where does comedy go politically? So I'm kind of my thinking is just, I can let Jim Acosta do the commentary. I'll just make fun of Mitch McConnell's chins.
I think that's a good way to do it. And it's fucking Friday, so you can just let it rip. You do not have to worry. You can't. There's no canceling here, by the way. Also, Matt, like it's not it's not a Jimmy Kimmel situation here on the. I'm not going to cancel you. You
Jim,
are hereby never canceled.
I appreciate it, and I didn't think you would. But we have to say this, because every time I see Jim, I'm always tempted to say, You are a sad, terrible person. Get him out of here, please. Get him out, please. You're a pathetic guy. Nobody likes you. Nobody watches you. And you're a sad guy. It's a sad thing. Okay? I love
It's
to
very
reenact
sad.
that moment with you.
I
and
love
me.
it. Anytime we can reenact that moment, it's perfect.
Yes.
But you have been on a tear lately, and I mean, I saw that you're going to be in a feature film. You were on somebody's podcast the other day. That is Dak Shepard. Is that right?
Yep.
Do I have that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Which is a big podcast. You're moving up in the world. Not just the Jim Acosta show anymore, which is a good thing for your career, I think.
No, it's always great to be on the Jim Acosta show.
No, but the other day, the beautiful thing about it, Matt, is you still service the fans. You still believe in fan service. You're still doing the videos. And the other day, you were taking a stroll through the pharmacy. We should just show this, and let's watch this and talk about it on the other side. This was great. I love this.
Hello, everybody. It's your favorite president in front of a very dangerous drug. It's called Minafin acida. Let's see how you pronounce it. Acida Minafin, otherwise known as Tylenol. It's a big danger. They call it extra strength because you're going to need extra strength to fight this drug like hell. It's a big problem. RFK agrees, but it's a big problem. Look at this. This is called ibuprofen. Ibuprofen, it's a big deal too. It's not good. This is called Khalid. This is Khalid. That's great. Advil is a big danger. Advil's a very scary one. They killed Bin Laden with it. You have here extra like Rosie O'Donnell. She's a bit extra certain areas. Advil Pum, the Prime Minister of Advil. Turn it off, please.
I love the way you dressed up for the bit too. That was really nice.
I was on the road to shows, and we stopped in this big, not pharmacy, like massive warehouse store, and then I saw this wall of Tylenol that happened to be in the store, and I'm like, well, we got to do something about this. And then I did it, and it was great.
Because,
fun.
but the bits do help write themselves, don't they? The other day when he couldn't say acetaminophen.
Well, yeah, it's insane. I mean, the other day, Trump's on a plane talking to reporters, and a reporter asked, thoughts on Jimmy Kimmel? He said, well, we'll talk about it, but, we're on a plane, and, I hope it's a safe flight. I hope it's a safe flight. You know why I hope it's safe? Because I'm on the plane. And if I wasn't on the plane, well, I wouldn't care. I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's literally material that is being written for me. Not just Trump, though. Like, it's mind-boggling.
No. I mean, with him, it's mental diarrhea, and maybe Tylenol is not the best medicine for that. But I noticed a little RFK in there. You don't mind doing a little RFK.
The key to RFK is just imagine you're squeezing out the biggest shit of your entire life. That's how you sound like him, Jim Acosta, on fucking Friday. Did you see the video of RFK sneezing behind Trump? He goes, and Trump goes, oh, Bobby, bless you, Bobby. Hope I don't have COVID. And then Dr. Oz comes in. You don't have COVID. You don't have anything. You're totally fine. Go to Wegmans. Buy some coup d'etat, and you'll be safe. I mean, it's like a clown car.
Dr. Oz is weird as shit. I mean, it's just, and he has had more plastic surgery than I think, like just about anybody I've ever seen in my life. It's not
really. You worked at CNN. You didn't think there was a lot of plastic surgery over there?
That's true. And I haven't gotten any done. And this is like something
Jim, it's okay. Don't lie to your audience. We know you've gotten a lot of work done.
Fake news. No, man, I'm very happy for all your success.
No, you're the best. You were one of the, by the way, Jim Acosta, one of the first to have me on their show. And also a lot of networks, I think, are very hesitant to have comedy on. They don't know what the person's going to say. Jim trusted me. And also he's just a great comedy sport. And that's why I was happy when he announced he was starting his own thing, because I think you might have more freedom for your fans and your audience to see your personality, which I don't think is restricted anymore.
No, I totally can. And honestly, some of the best bits that you've done have been on Fox too. You went on Fox and Friends and you trolled the shit out of them, which I don't think they're not really smart enough to understand that, but
I'm not offering a comment, Jim. I'm not offering an opinion.
You want to go back on.
I go on the show and I make jokes,
What happened?
But the thing is, I do the same thing, on CNN. It's just, or MSNBC or like wherever I am, but just with Fox.
Ari
it's
Melber
just-
loves you too. Yeah.
Well, it's especially funnier. There's something
Yeah.
a lot funnier about doing it in that context.
Yeah. And what was your sense of going on with Dax Shepard?
Amazing. I mean,
That was
huge
cool.
show. I've wanted to go on it for a long time, and
He's hilarious.
kind of surreal. I mean, it's like one of the biggest podcasts, and it was a crazy experience. You're really supposed to open up on that show and talk about yourself, and it was a lot of fun.
And you impressed them with your Howard Stern, right?
That was fun, right? That was
Right.
great.
Right.
You're right. He's right here, right? Let's talk about it.
And I mean, I'm trying to think of like a more talented couple in Hollywood. He and is it Kristen Bell, who is on that
Well, I
show?
would say
Nobody
you and
Wants
Wolf
This.
Blitzer are pretty, but we don't talk. We're not
No,
talking about
we
that
don't talk
publicly?
about that anymore.
Okay, yeah, later. Okay, yeah. Yes.
That's post Fuck It Friday. We don't do
That's
that
right.
on the Fuck It Friday.
Now you just exactly.
And what's next? You're on the road. You've got some
On the
stops coming-
road, I'm touring. A couple very big announcements coming up with shows and events that I will be hosting and appearing at, which I'm very excited about. So it's just all on my Instagram, the Matt Friend. You should follow me there, and my Truth Social, Jim Acosta 69. That's my handle there.
Wait a minute, that's the OnlyFans. Shh, don't. We can't
I
get
shouldn't
into
have said that. But Jim, you are the best, and I'm so happy to see that you're thriving.
I love it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great, and you're the best. And you know,
on behalf of Ted Cruz, let me just say that Jimmy Kimmel, his firing should have immediately been replaced by Late Night with Jim Acosta. What can I say?
there you go. And what did Ted Cruz say the other day? He said something batshit crazy. He had like some Freudian slip where
He said, we should stop attacking pedophiles.
I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah,
And
I'm like,
almost
thank you
pissed
for
myself.
this.
It was so funny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Insane.
Well, it is insane. Matt, you're insane, but in a good
You're
way.
the best.
And in these insane times, you are like a voice of sanity. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Jim, I wish I could say the same, but thank you. And you are too. And thank you for having me. And keep it on, baby.
I will, baby. All right, let me know when you're in DC.
Did you tell your audience that you're joining Newsmax?
I am.
Yes.
Yes, I am. Exactly. Find me on Newsmax starting next Monday. The show will be sponsored by Tylenol.
Yes, it will be.
Or acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen.
Something like
You're
that.
the best.
You're the best. Love you, Matt.
You too.
All right. You be good. Be a good boy. See you, man. Matt Friend. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that was Matt Friend. And you never know what's going to happen when he comes on. And I always think to myself, there's the part of my brain that says, am I going to get fired for this? Am I going to get canceled for this? Will I lose my show over this? But this is a completely voluntary exercise. You, the American people, you, the subscriber. And by the way, if you can subscribe, you can like, you can help us promote the show. All of those things are wonderful and help the show very much. One final thing I want to get into on this Fuck It Friday. We decided to say fuck it and go down to the National Mall today because, and we don't have any sound effects on the show, but if we did have sound effects, there would be a drum roll. We witnessed the return, the resurrection of the Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein friendship statue. The Epstein, there it is. The Epstein Trump statue returns. I'm sure Donald Trump's like, why is my name not first? It should be Trump Epstein, not Epstein Trump. But anyway, I'm trying my best to do Matt Friend. And the statue returned. And I think we found an even bigger crowd down on the National Mall taking in the statue earlier in the day because, you know, once you take something away, and for folks who don't understand the backstory, it was out there, what was it, not last week or the week before, right? And I guess somebody at the National Park Service got pissed, or Trump got pissed, or somebody at the White House got pissed. Anyway, we don't know the complete backstory. Even though the people had it authorized for a permit for several days, it was taken down basically within 24 hours of it going up. The statue was kind of taken apart. It was beaten up. It's got scratches all over it and so on. Anyway, the people behind the statue reassembled it. They put it back together. And today it was down on the National Mall. Let's take a look.
For us to do here in Washington. there's a government shutdown. We don't know what's open. Some things are closing. Some things are open. Some things are shutting down next week. Oh, wait a minute. There's one attraction that's open for business.
I'm just glad that this is back because everything he does is a distraction. It's also to desensitize us, but the main thing is that he knows there's something in the Epstein files that he doesn't want anyone else to know. And I'm really glad that they were able to get it back. The group who put this up, they'd obviously put some effort into building it.
You're not a big fan.
No, I'm loving the piece of artwork and what they did. I think the relationship has to be shown. Release the files.
That's what I was going to say.
All right, I know what you're thinking, MAGA supporters. You're thinking that all I did was talk to a lot of progressive people in D.C. who don't like Trump and release the files and so on. But as it turns out, there were some Trump supporters down here. And they also think he should release the files. And what about the idea of releasing the Epstein files? Is that something you agree with?
Yes, I think they should. I want to know everything that's going on there.
All right. And are you guys Trump supporters, not Trump supporters, kind of middle of the road?
Trump supporters.
Trump supporters.
Yes.
You're Trump supporters.
Except for he does some crazy stuff sometimes.
Okay.
But we love Trump.
You love Trump. And why do you think he doesn't want to release the files?
I don't know. It's very sketchy. Why isn't he?
Why isn't he? I don't know. That's our question.
Yeah, that's our question too. We think they should.
Well, you can see how the statue got a little banged up when they took it down the other day. But, that happens in life. Friendships get a little banged up. But you know what? Love always finds a way.
That's right. That's right, folks. The moral of the story is that love always finds a way. And I'm so glad that the love for freedom of speech, freedom of expression, has returned to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. And as I was saying, there's a lot of stuff that is closing down, shutting down as a result of the government shutdown. I don't know how long the Epstein Trump statue will be down there on the National Mall, but you ought to go check it out if you're here in D.C. And I will tell you, as soon as this emerged on social media that the statue was back, people just started flocking down there. And we were out there during the day today for a good, 90 minutes, 2 hours. And we must have seen a couple of hundred, 200 or 300 people, I think, go back and forth up to the statue, all around the statue, getting pictures of it and so on. There was a volleyball team from a nearby university. I don't want to say which one because I don't want to get them in trouble and get their money taken away. There were all kinds of folks. And I will say that very nice family from Alabama, from Birmingham, Alabama, I won't say their names because I don't want to get them in trouble. They could not have been nicer people. And they were so lovely to talk to. And they were like, yeah, we like Trump. And then I said, you saw that there. I said, well, what about the Epstein files? And they were like, we want to see it released. And I will tell you, folks, as much as it seems that we're, approaching the darkest hour and everything is turned upside down and Donald Trump is wreaking havoc and he's shutting down the government and he's doing all of this batshit crazy things and he's saying stuff that is absolutely disqualifying for a president of the United States. People still get it when it comes to the Epstein files. His own supporters get it when it comes to the Epstein files. And I saw this little nugget just before coming on the show. Epstein survivors are returning to Capitol Hill next week. The Hill reporting victims of Jeffrey Epstein will return to Capitol Hill next week when they will be hosted by a bipartisan group of lawmakers pushing the Trump administration to release the government files on Jeffrey Epstein. They have this discharge petition, which is aimed at forcing the administration to release the Epstein files. They have 217 signatures on it, one shy of the number needed to force a vote on the legislation. Of course, for those who are following this closely, Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva of Arizona, who recently won a special election there, she is expected to provide the decisive 218th vote or endorsement whenever she's sworn in. And of course, we know right now the Republicans don't want to swear her in. She has been legitimately elected by the people in her district. The Republicans do not want to swear her in right now. The White House does not want her sworn in right now because she will be that decisive vote to force through a discharge petition, this arcane, wonky thing that they can do in the House, to compel, if it gets through the Senate, the White House and the administration to release the files. And you heard it right there. It's not just progressives. It's not just Democrats. We found a nice family, nice MAGA Trump friendly family from Alabama who very much supports the idea of releasing the Epstein files. So I get it. I get it, folks. There's a lot of reason to be pissed and depressed and disappointed and everything else. But every once in a while, there's a glimmer of light that shows to me, that says to me that the truth is coming through, that the truth, despite the best efforts of people on Fox and in conservative media and so on, the truth does eventually get through to people. The truth eventually finds a way. And kudos to the people behind that statue and their commitment to the First Amendment in Washington. That was one thing that I heard time and again from people down on the National Mall today. That, you know, whether you like the statue or whatever, what is great about it is that freedom of speech, freedom of expression is not dead, ladies and gentlemen. It is not dead. It may not be having its best day. It may not be having its best moment, but it ain't dead. And that is something I think we need to hold on to as we head into this weekend. The other thing I wanted to say as we close out the week is I very much think it's worth it for a lot of people to reflect on what Trump said in front of those generals earlier in the week when he went to Quantico. And he talked about using American cities as training grounds for law enforcement. He talked about the enemy from within and going into democratic cities and unleashing the military on the enemy from within, which I think has rightly brought up the conversation of the 25th Amendment. Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. He is a dictator wannabe. But the difference between a dictator wannabe and a dictator is us. It's us. And Donald Trump can say these things, but look what the generals did. Generals did not applaud wildly like some props out of a North Korean propaganda video. There were a lot of knowing looks in that audience, knowing looks that there is no way in hell they're going to go along with this. No way in hell that a lot of them are going to go along with this. And the statue, as small of a gesture as that might be, is another example. The statue is another example of what separates a dictator wannabe from a dictator is us. It's our commitment to free speech. It's our commitment to freedom of expression. It's our commitment to the truth. It's our commitment to seeing that the truth has its day, that it comes out on top in the end, and that the truth still matters. Because, if that family from Alabama, Trump supporters from Alabama, have figured it out, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why Donald Trump does not want to release the Epstein files. It's because he's in the Epstein files, and the cover-up continues. And isn't it interesting that one of the fringe benefits of this government shutdown for Donald Trump is that they can't have a vote, they can't have any activity as it relates to the Epstein files. Isn't that interesting? But the truth will find a way. The voice of the people will find a way. Just like they tore down that statue, they took it apart, they dismembered the darn thing. And some good people, some good Americans who are committed to free speech brought it back. They went back to the National Park Service and they got it back on the National Mall. And I will just tell you, I think that's a victory. It's a victory for you. It's a victory for me. It's a victory for all of us. It's a victory for freedom of the speech, just like Jimmy Kimmel being returned to the airwaves, folks. The voice of the people matters. People power matters. So let's reflect on that as we head into this weekend. My thanks to Mike Fanone, the Secretary of War of the Jim Acosta Show. I've anointed him. I've now appointed him Secretary of War of the Jim Acosta Show, Mike Fanone. And of course, my friend too, comedian Matt Friend. If he comes to your town or community, make sure you check him out. It's an unforgettable event. Whenever he does it, it's absolutely fantastic. And thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks for all the support that you give us week after week. If you can, click that subscribe button, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Substack or wherever you get your podcasts. Like it, subscribe it, show your support for the show. It does make a difference, and it does do a lot in terms of supporting the work that we do here. So thank you very much for that. In the meantime, still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.